With the lack of updates on the next DLC, as well as the disappointment that was the next gen upgrade, no Super TP medals even now all the way in July, and a buggy netcode, is Xenoverse 2 actually over? Hello everyone, it's me again, Steve Doja here, back to more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is going through a pretty rough time right now. I mean, this does make sense. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 was the reigning champion, carrying Dragon Ball games for literally 8 years straight. Even when Fighters came out, Xenoverse 2 was still very relevant, and if I'm being serious, if there was a post that Bandai Namco made saying that they're actually finally ending the service of Xenoverse 2, that would completely break our hearts, because if they let Xenoverse 2 die, like, disregarding like all of the stuff with Sparking Zero and the nostalgia of the older Budokai games, Xenoverse 2 is like a piece of the Dragon Ball community that I think that will be in everyone's soul, since we have custom characters from Xenoverse 1 transferred over to Xenoverse 2. We have our Xenoverse 2 custom characters that we've been loving for a long time, building our characters from all of their youthful designs to the way they look now and stuff like that. Even Bandai knows how important our character art was with the whole like photo mode competition where we can make our characters into loading screens, you know? So that's really cool, and it would really suck if Xenoverse 2 like actually died, but it is going through a rough time right now. Because after the Future Saga DLC, which was easily one of the new best DLCs in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, again, I don't think anything will top DLC 6. That came out at just the perfect time and has the great amount of content that really saved that DLC. But Future Saga DLC Chapter 1 is quite close. However, Chapter 2, 3, and 4, when are those actually coming out? Because we were expecting maybe a faster DLC release schedule since Dragon Ball Sparking Zero will release soon. But it seems like the second, third, and fourth parts of the Future Saga will actually release probably after Dragon Ball Sparking Zero comes out. And again, I don't want to compare Xenoverse 2 to Sparking Zero so much, but the game's support is going to drop even more once a new Dragon Ball game has come out. It dropped when Fighters came out, it went even further down when Kakarot and Breakers came out, and it's going to just sink to the absolute bottom when the newest, biggest Dragon Ball game, Sparking Zero, also comes out. And there's a list of issues with Xenoverse 2 we have to go through first before we talk about how Sparking Zero in general could affect the rest of the game's lifespan. Now, we'll start off with probably the biggest elephant in the room, Xenoverse 2's netcodes. From the beginning to the end, it's been absolutely atrocious, and I will keep the netcode section short, mostly because the netcode actually affects everything else on this list. Netcode also affects the game's lack of updates, it affects the next gen, it affects the STP medal stuff, it affects all the other extra content we have available in Xenoverse 2. Usually with most games, once you're done with them, pretty much the only thing left for you to do is play online, whether it be PvE or PvP. It's pretty much just what you do the second you're done with the game's like actual, like, you know, single player content, right? And Xenoverse 2 single player content is really easy and really quick to get through. So every single time there's a new DLC, especially the newest DLC, after you're immediately done with the story or getting all of the new things that are available, you go online, right? Whether it's PvE or PvP, you go online. Now, from the PvE standpoint, the online is not very great because, again, you know, easy enemies, but they're just really tanky and the missions are really long and they're dragged out by dialogue, etc, etc. Or it's a really boring raid or expert mission, right? And from a PvP standpoint, the netcode just sucks from player to player, so trying to fight another player in netcode is pretty bad. But again, we'll talk more about netcode the further we go on. When it comes to the lack of updates and how they affect the game, again, don't forget, Xenoverse 2 does not get what usually most other games get, where they just get an occasional balance patch or some other, you know, thing to just tide the game over real quick. Xenoverse 2 used to get balance patches back in the day, and you could say, oh, well, you know, they shouldn't stress themselves to do balance patches for a game that's nearly 8 years old, and that's fair, but since you're still throwing content at the game, it's kind of weird how you aren't just supporting it as well. I think most other games, if they were still getting DLC content like 8 years later, they would also be getting like, you know, frequent balance patches with those updates. Again, I imagine if they were still making content for games like, I don't know, like Armored Core, Elden Ring, etc, etc. Hell, Sparking Zero 8 years later, that's another Bandai Namco Dragon Ball product, right? They'd still be giving those games balance updates while giving them paid updates. But Xenoverse 2, and speaking of paid updates when it comes to Xenoverse 2, Xenoverse 2's paid update schedule is really bad. Again, I'm not saying, oh, if I need my new DLC, otherwise I'll die, right? Because how am I supposed to play the game unless if I can't throw money at it for new content? But Xenoverse 2 doesn't have a lot to offer. Again, because of the netcode for Xenoverse 2, doing PvE stuff is extremely unfun, because it's really hard to find people for those things, and then when you do find people, you'll probably just end up with a really laggy, bad experience against the kind of tragic PvE content. Or again, the PvP is so abysmal, it's not even, like, you can't even pretend, Xenoverse 2's PvP is fun. Like, it's really hard to even, like, laugh or smile while playing Xenoverse 2's PvP, even when the most ridiculous of things happen. So that also hurts the game a lot, because you can't just... There's nothing to do while you wait for the next DLC to come out. You can't try out like a new build or anything, because the game is just so basic in the way you play it. Like, here's another game, Shinobi Strikers, right? Naruto Shinobi Strikers. That game gets so many damn updates. It's actually completely unreal how much updates that game gets. Like, I don't recall the exact amount of DLCs that, like, Shinobi Strikers has. But a good example to put into perspective how many updates in general just both games have. Xenoverse 2 is on update 1.39, which is like, okay, that's like, I would say decent, but technically the game's been out for 8 years, so it should probably be more than that. Shinobi Strikers is on update 2.55, which alone should tell you the absolute scale in comparison to the amount of extra updates this game. Literally like over twice the amount of updates, and the game has been out for like less time. It came out after Xenoverse 2. It's literally the Naruto version of Xenoverse with custom characters, moves you can put on custom characters, etc., etc., right? It just gets way more support than Xenoverse 2 does by like a massive margin. And it's just baffling. Yeah. And by the way, that game gets updates like almost like weekly. Like they get like 2 minor updates a month apparently, which is, if Xenoverse 2 fans were getting 2 minor updates a month, the game would actually still be like relevant. Like right now, I'm not kidding. Like people like Ramstyle, Afro Senju, Syriax, they'd still be making videos on the game. But like no, everyone's like jumped ship because again, the game just doesn't give you anything. And when the game does give us something, oh boy, that next-gen update. Am I right, guys? That next-gen upgrade. You guys remember all the hype around the Xenoverse 2 next-gen upgrade? Oh, it's going to be just like the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot one, where the grass was like greener and like there was way more winds blowing around. And apparently Xenoverse 2 took that very literally because that's all they did. The grass on Pod Landing was greener and there was wind blowing grass around. And that's it. And also, by the way, that effect only lasts for like 20 seconds. It's kind of like the confetti in the World Tournament where it just disappears after a while and then just never comes back. So I'm not sure why we needed to upgrade the game for that. Because Pod Landing isn't even one of the more popular maps in the game. They did also add a reflective surface to the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, but you can only see your enemy's reflection, not your own. And that's only if you're both on the ground, which is just so oddly specific. It's just... You guys let me know what you think about the next-gen upgrades, because that, to me, that was a shocking disappointment. I don't know if there was anything else in that next-gen upgrade, because I didn't see anything else, but let me know what you guys think about that in general. We also still don't have TP medals or Super TP medals. Keep in mind, they did say, oh, we're going to add Super TP medals when June rolls around, right? The wording may have been wrong, according to certain people. It may have meant that after June, or, you know, during the month of June, and therefore afterwards, that's when we would get Super TP medals. But we are in July. I think we're, nearly halfway through July or halfway through July. And we still don't have any, not even a drop of information on Super TP medals. We've been getting endless Sparking Zero information, nothing on Super TP medals. So like I said, they could be redirecting most of their resources towards that because, again, big new Dragon Ball game that's already got everyone's eyes on board. It's just stealing light from Xenoverse 2. Honestly, I don't even know if they'll finish the last 3 DLCs for Xenoverse 2, seeing how well the Sparking Zero stuff is going for them. But yeah, no Super TP medals update. And obviously with no Super TP medals update, you have to also ask, where is the second round of Festival of Universes? Is that going to come when Chapter 2 rolls around? Because we know Xenoverse 2 usually doesn't do updates for free. So when we get the second Festival of Universes, that's going to roll around when Future Saga Chapter 2 rolls around, right? Because the next-gen update came out the same time as Future Saga Chapter 1, which was not advertised at all until the literal day of it happening. So that was shocking, to say the least. But yeah, we'll see about Festival of Universes. I just don't know. I think we're going to be getting that when Chapter 2 rolls around, because still nothing. Nothing on Festival of Universes, nothing on new raids, nothing. So it's probably Chapter 2 is when we'll get the second Festival of Universes. Alongside maybe actually Super TP medals when Chapter 2 comes around. Oh my god. And the last point is that if you just compare the games when it comes to online and offline content, Sparking Zero already has like an infinitely better offline content with the custom battle mode, allowing you to basically create your own scenarios. Literally, you could just make infinitely better versions of parallel quests from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. So if you did like Xenoverse 2's PvE content, there's literally no reason to do that because Sparking Zero has an infinitely better version. As well as the fact that, again, it could be the Bandai Namco curse because every Bandai Namco game has this, from Shinobi Strikers, Xenoverse 2, Armored Core, Elden Ring. They all have like pretty chunky netcode, right? So Sparking Zero, I'm completely ready for Sparking Zero to have some wonky netcode, right? However, I don't think it'll reach the level of Xenoverse 2. Even all the other games I mentioned, which are all also Bandai games, by the way, none of them have connection as bad as Xenoverse 2. I want to say Shinobi Strikers gets kind of close, but the issue with Shinobi Strikers, or I guess the solution to the issue with Shinobi Strikers, is that moves in the game are pretty sticky. So even if your attack can somewhat whiff because of lag, your character usually ends up catching up and hitting the opponent anyways, and, you know, correcting the issue or the mistake, right? Then Dragon Ball FighterZ has the rollback, and the rollback did kind of mess up Dragon Ball FighterZ a little bit, but at least when it comes to actually physically connecting hits on your enemy, it's way better. So again, Sparking Zero could potentially get rollback. Don't forget, Dragon Ball The Breakers ended up getting crossplay, FighterZ got rollback. I do believe those were tests for Sparking Zero to eventually get those things, but again, the game's not out yet, I can't actually say that for now. However, Xenoverse 2's online is just so unplayable that Sparking Zero beats out by a large margin there too. When it comes to the way the moves look, the way attacks function in both games and stuff like that, it's just going to feel better to land hits in Sparking Zero, because not only do they look far more impressive, but they're actually going to connect, unlike in Xenoverse 2 where a beam can hit someone and then they just fall out of it. In Sparking Zero, when a beam hits someone, it does its full damage right away to prevent any kind of lag from happening, while still keeping all of the visual integrity and making the move still feel impactful and cool. Something Xenoverse 2, again, still struggles to do without making a move like a cutscene, like a Special Beam Cannon Beast, for example. Either way, I think this is probably a good place to end the video. Again, this isn't a big Xenoverse 2 bashing session. I just want to know what you guys think in general about the whole, Xenoverse 2 support, because it's been quite lacking as of recently. Again, just let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I do believe this is a good place to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to greatly support the channel, and leave a comment down below as to what you'd like to see next. I do hope you all enjoyed, love you all, and I will see you all next time. Take care, and peace.